Morning, everyone. Boker tov. Big loud, big loud, big loud, lavot. Big loud, big loud, big loud, lavot. Big loud, lavot. Toshia bahanim. Big loud, big loud, big loud, lavot. Big loud, big loud, big loud, lavot. Big loud, lavot. Toshia bahanim. Big loud, big loud, big loud, lavot. Big loud, big loud, big loud, lavot. Big la la Toshia banim. Big loud, big loud, big loud lavot. Big loud, big loud, big loud lavot. Big la la Toshia banim. V'tavi geula livnei benehem. Oy v'tavi geula livnei benehem, ay, 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 oh, da, 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 la, 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 da, 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 ay, 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 bing la, bing la, bing la, la, bing la, bing la, bing la, la, bing la, la, Toshia banim. Big loud, big loud, big loud, lavot, big loud, big loud, big loud, lavot, big loud, lavot, Toshia banim. Big loud, big loud, big loud, lavot, big loud, big loud, big loud, lavot, big loud, lavot, Toshia banim. Big loud, big loud, big loud, lavot, big loud, big loud, big loud, lavot, big loud, lavot, Toshia banim. V'tavi geula livnei bneihem, oy v'savi geula livnei bneihem, ay, 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 adam, oh, do, 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 da, la, 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 da, 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 da. Ay, la 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 la, bam bam ba la 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 la, bam bam ba la 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 bam bam ba la 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 la. Ay, la 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 la, ba la bam 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 bim bam 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 bam, la 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 ya la li la ya la 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 li la. Oy, oh, ah, da, 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 ay, da, 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 diddy, da, 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 ay, da, 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 ay, da, 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 da. Oh, yo, yo. Good morning, everyone. Hoping everyone's doing great. This is a shir I'm really excited about. This series about Rav Kook and Chevron. We started it last week, and a lot of Chevra have been extremely interested in what we're doing over here. So I'm excited to go further this week. And all the learning right now should should connect us to both Rav Kook and to the city of Chevron, two very important pillars in our life. And there's so much to speak about, and it was very difficult to focus in on and choose exactly what we wanted to do. But I'm just going to quickly recap how we ended last time and go to something very, very interesting. Last time we ended off by explaining that Rav Kook got stuck in Chutz La'aretz in Europe during World War I. And I think he was there until 1919 or 1920. And Rav Kook receives a letter from Chevron, from the Rabbanim that came down to Chevron. There was a whole story there how the Rabbanim were trying to figure out who should be invited to be the Rav Arishia of Yerushalayim, because Yerushalayim needed a chief Rav. and they couldn't have a peace of mind. It was like Ma'aseh Satan in Yerushalayim, because confusing them, machloket, machloket, machloket. They go down to Chevron, they sit there, and they decided that it is right for Rav Kook to be invited to be the chief Rav of Yerushalayim. They send them a letter from Chevron to London, where Rav Kook was, and then Rav Kook accepts the position of leadership, and he ends up moving back to Eretz Yisrael. This is between World War I and World War II. We spoke a lot more about many different things, which is all archived, and you're all invited to go and look that up. But over here, what we're going to be seeing today is what happens after that with Rav Kook's involvement with the city of Chevron. Because from that point, I don't know if it's exactly due to his friendships that he had with the chief rabbis of Chevron, or whatever the reasons were, Rav Kook has this, you could see something inside of him feels an achrayut, feels responsibility. And he gets more and more involved in the development of the city of Chevron. And one of the things, as many of you know, that Rav Kook, from his mother's side, they were Lubavitch. And there's a great story, which we'll learn at a different time, about Rav Kook meeting the Frierdiker Rebbe and wearing a certain kippah that he only used to wear in Yom Kippur to come and greet the Frierdiker Rebbe. But in any event, Rav Kook gets more and more involved with daily life in Chevron, and he really wants the reestablishment of the Chabad yeshivas there. That's very important. That was the yeshiva that was existed before the war, closed down, and then the community itself just had to re-emerge and reconnect and reinvigorate itself. So Rav Kook appoints someone very interesting. And you'll see in front of you, he appoints Rav Shlomo Yehuda Leib Eliezerov, this yid in front of you. Rav Shlomo Yehuda Leib Eliezerov, to be in charge of all the properties of Chabad. At the time, it was impossible to be in touch with the Frierdiker Rebbe in those days. And later on, though, the Frierdiker Rebbe did in fact say that this Reb Shlomo Yehuda Leib is the person that should be in charge regarding all the properties and everything that has to do with the city of Chevron. This Reb Shlomo Yehuda Leib, he was born in 1853, and he passed away in 1942. He lived a pretty long life, and when he was actually in Einikel. He was a direct descendant of the Alter Rebbe. When he was 10, his family made Aliyah and they settled in Chevron. He gets married at the age of 18. He gets married in 1880, and actually after this whole thing happened, he was basically his father was a dedicated shliach to the Rebbe Rashab. He goes on different shlichuses v'chulei, but this tzaddik that you see in front of here, this is who Rav Kook appointed to be the person that's in charge in Chabad in those days. Now, something very interesting happens in the summer of 1922. Rav Kook is back in Eretz Yisrael for a year or two, and you could just imagine being a rabbi of a street can be pretty intense. Just imagine being the Rav of Yerushalayim. And Rav Kook is the Rav of Yerushalayim, but Rav Kook needs to get a little bit of rest. And Rav Kook needs to vacation. Where does Rav Kook choose to vacation? Rav Kook chooses to vacation over here in the hotel that you see right in front of you. This hotel is called Eshel Avraham, which is basically not a play, but it's exactly how we describe Avram Avinu's motel that he had, which could have been right there in Chevron. This is a hotel in Chevron at the time. It was owned by the famous Schneerson family, and it was there that Rav Kook goes there for some vacationing. Now, what's really interesting about this period in Rav Kook's life is that he doesn't write so much from there. Like usually Rav Kook was writing letters, writing. He doesn't write so much, and even when he did write, he doesn't speak so much about his time there. It's almost like we want to take a vacation, but we want to make sure that no one knows where we are, which is almost impossible these days because you always know where everyone is at any given moment. Well, over here, Rav Kook is kind of like he's really laying low. And it seems to be an indicator that after a year or so in the Rabbanut of Yerushalayim, he really, really needed to rest up. He really needed to breathe. He really needed the space. But this place, this Malon, Eshel Avraham, this is the place where Rav Kook got that quiet. He got that inner peace. He got that inner calm. And he receives a very, very important and special guest while he's there. I guess, interestingly enough, as much as the Talmidim need to give their Rabbeim space, sometimes when the love is so fiery, you can't let go. You just can't let go. So over here we see something really interesting. Many of you have heard of Harav David HaKohen, HaNazir, the Rav HaNazir. There's a lot to say about the Rav HaNazir. I hope we could have a whole series just on the Rav HaNazir. But the Rav HaNazir, his meeting with Rav Kook, which he met him in 1915 in Switzerland, and it's a whole story how they met. The Rav HaNazir even describes in a passionate diary entry what that meeting was like. We'll get there one day as well too. The Rav HaNazir can't leave Rav Kook for 1 second. And this Rav HaNazir that you're looking in this face, this Rav HaNazir, he eventually gets permission in 1921 to go and make Aliyah to Eretz Yisrael. The permission was granted, I read it was granted the day before Rosh Hashanah to go to Eretz Yisrael from Europe. By Erev Yom Kippur, 10 days later, his boat docks in Jaffa, in Yaffo. He's there 10 days later. And if you just look at it, we have a few pictures of him over here that I just want you to see what this holy tzaddik looked like. Why the Nezirut? It's a whole story, which I hope we can get to when we learn about him. The Rav HaNazir was something else. He really wanted and believed in the restoration of a nevuah, of prophecy, in Am Yisrael, amongst Am Yisrael. He wrote a lot about it, and I hope we get a chance to learn it. But he describes something. Rav Kook goes to Chevron somewhere in the month of Av of 1922. That's when he goes to spend this vacation. Rosh Chodesh Elul is coming up, and the Rav HaNazir, he couldn't lay back. He couldn't lay back. So look at his testimony. This is amazing. Ragli halachti lechevron berosh chodesh Elul lekabel pnei hashchina maran shlita. The Rav HaNazir says, I walked from Yerushalayim to Chevron for Rosh Chodesh Elul to receive the face of the Shechina, my Rebbe Shlita. It's like some of us here, Kvetch, when we have to walk from the Zayit to the Dekel. He's walking from Yerushalayim to Chevron. Yom v'layel halachti. I walked day and night. Lelo pachad u'lelo yir'ah. Fearless. Ki'ilu haruach nesa'ani. It's as if the spirit, the wind, was actually, I should say spirit, I should say wind, not spirit. You can stick to wind. It's as if the wind, this divine spirit, came and carried me. Beshirim v'tishbachot v'tehilim. It's as if I was journeying down there on a magic carpet, singing Tehillim. I wasn't scared of anything. However, ach hahalicha hayta kashali. But the actual walking was very hard for me. She'eni ragil lalechet chutz midaled amot shel beis hamedrash. The extent of my walking that I'm used to is I get up from my shtender, I walk a few minutes thinking in Torah, I go back to my shtender. So suddenly, because basically Rav HaNazir, when he moved to Eretz Yisrael, he went straight to Yeshivat Merkaz Arabi. He just went straight to Rav Kook, just learning day and night. He's saying, I'm not used to walking like this. Ha'ayefut takaftani. The tiredness really attacked me. V'araglayim batseku, my legs really started giving in. Ubentayim erev layel. And what started happening? Night came. V'shachafti lalun al yad haderech tachat shmei Hashem, Rav Nazir says. As I'm walking to Chevron to meet Rav Kook, I simply went to sleep on the side of the road beneath the heavens of Hashem. Kol yeriyot nishma misaviv. I started hearing shooting all around. Ki ravu hashodedim b'makom ahu. Because that place was known to have a lot of thieves amongst it. A lot of robbers, shodedim. Ach kol pachad lo ayabi. But I wasn't trying to be a gibor, I just wasn't scared. Ubitmimut lev amarti b'shachbi, and with this innocent purity, I said, as I laid down, I said in my heart, Teribono shleilim v'ata magen ba'adi kvodi umerim roshi. You are guarding me, and you're picking up my head. This place of absolute emuna pshuta is what the Rav Nazir is explaining this night. Tsar galut lekapara alavonotai. He explains this, the difficulties, as the pain of galut for a kapara for his avonot, for his transgressions. Zchut halicha be'eretz Yisrael beregel. The privilege of walking, literally walking on every single step of the way in Eretz Yisrael. U'leshem kabbalat pnei harav b'yom Rosh Chodesh. And to go and receive the face of my Rav on Rosh Chodesh Elul. U'beoto yom shebo nasati elav. And on the same exact day that I went to him, it was the anniversary of when I first met him 7 years ago. Bapam harishona b'shvaitz lifnei 7 shanim hu yom hamahapecha b'chayai. All right, so let's just get a little bit of context here. The Rav Nazir is walking from Yerushalayim to Chevron. It took him one full, basically like a morning, and then getting there the next day. He gets to Rav Kook to see him because Rav Kook is vacationing in Chevron, like we said. And he's saying, and I realized every step I was walking, that this chut should be a kapara for my time being spent in Galut. And furthermore, he realizes, wait a second, I also met him 7 years ago to the day in Switzerland. Now, I had mentioned once in Shul the whole story of how they met, the circumstances that they met. My dear friend Reb David Weinberg actually wrote a song based on the meeting between Rav Kook and the Rav Nazir. So I'm sure that Rav Kook, seeing Rav Nazir, meeting him in Chevron, he actually stayed with him in the same hotel in the Eshel Avram that you saw before. And I read somewhere some documentation that since the Rav Nazir was vegetarian and he couldn't really eat a lot of the stuff that they were serving there, Rav Kook had some special food and a drink sent up to the Rav Nazir's room. And was just, the love there was something tremendously out of this world. Anyway, Rav Kook then writes a letter back to his family, and by the first Shabbos of Elul of that month, he goes back home. Just to give you a little bit of a taste of the relationship, just one thing between a Rav Nazir and a Rav Kook, I just found it to be really, really special. That Rav Kook, after he would give shir in the morning, after Shachris, so he would give a shir in Mishnah to Balabatim in the area in Yerushalayim. And also a lot of great Talmidei Chachamim, a lot of great Torah scholars that lived in the area would come to hear Rav Kook's shir in Mishnayos. Because they said that when Rav Kook would explain like a simple Mishnah, basically all the Rishonim and Achronim finally started making sense in people's minds. You ever have that when you hear a Torah shir from someone, and they're saying one thing, but they're basically clarifying to you a few years of questions you had based on what you heard from other people? So that's what would happen when Rav Kook would give a pshat shir in Mishnah. And the only thing is that this shir was different because the shir was in Yiddish, because the older Balabat, that's what they would, that's the language they could understand it. And that's how in those times, the Ashkenazic Rebbeim, that's how they would learn. By the way, I know that when we read Rav Kook, we feel very Israeli and, tough. And but if you took a word of Rav Kook, let's take like a line from Rav Kook. We learned a line yesterday from Rav Kook. I'm going to read it to you the way the world thinks that Rav Kook sounded, and then I'm going to read it to you the way that Rav Kook himself sounded. The words were, אומנם לפי גודל התשוקה והקישור של האדם לארץ ישראל. However, we were learning yesterday about the passion and connection that a person feels to Eretz Yisrael. That's not what Rav Kook sounded like. Rav Kook sounded like this. I'm going to read for you how Rav Kook's lashon was like. אומנם לפי גודל התשוקה והקישור של האדם לארץ ישראל, הרי רעיונותיו מזדככים מיסוד האווירה דארץ ישראל, החופף על כל מי שמצפה לראותה. That's how Rav Kook actually spoke. But anyway, to get back to what we said before, the Rav Nazir would also go to this shir of Rav Kook in Mishnayos after Shacharis. And after a little while, Rav Kook noticed that even though his Talmid, who would do anything for him, he even walked from Yerushalayim to Chevron, right? Literally. He sees that the Rav Nazir stops coming to shir one day. And when Rav Kook wanted to find out why the Rav Nazir decided to stop coming to shir, he was told by the Rav Nazir in a certain taina, he said, listen, I can't hear Torah in Yiddish. So the story is that from then, Rav Kook actually taught in Hebrew. He changed that shir and he changed it from Yiddish to Hebrew. And after the Rav Kook died, it was the Rav Nazir that continued that shir in Mishnayos. So I found that to be just there's something very beautiful here. There's like a Rav Nachman, Rav Nassim kind of relationship over here between Rav Kook and the Rav Nazir. And we'll learn a lot more about him, about his son who passed away recently, Rav Shar Yeshiva Cohen, the Rav of Haifa. Anyway, it's very, very interesting. But I want to get back to the heart of what we're learning about. And that is what Rav Kook sees as his own personal responsibility. As I said before, Rav Kook felt a personal achrayut, mamash, a personal achrayut to taking care of the city of Chevron. And after Rav Kook comes to Chevron to see it for himself, he writes the following. This is his impressions. Biyoti b'Chevron, and this is very, very deep. This is what we're going to be spending the rest of the time learning today. And I find this to be a very relevant and practical wake-up call to all of us that are here today as well. Biyoti b'Chevron, while I was in Chevron, remember this is 1922, Lo masha mikirbi ha'argasha shel Nehemiah, so I can't stop thinking what Nehemiah said. Madua lo yera'u panai asher ha'ir beit kvarot avotai chareva. I don't understand what's happening. The city of our cemetery of my fathers is completely destroyed. Min nahamat libi tza'akti. From this orchestra, from this loud voice in my heart, Rav Kook says, I'm screaming, Ayehem kol askanenu atziburim. Where are all the machers? Rav Kook is saying. Where are all the machers? Ayehem abonim akdoshim. Where are all the holy builders? You see, what was happening back then, there was these, emergence of the Yeshuva Yehudi back in Eretz Yisrael. People are building, people are getting excited. There's so much going on. But where was the excitement taking place? Where were people busy building? So this is really interesting. Rav Kook says, Ayehem abonim akdoshim, second line, Ve'ira matropolina rishona shelanu, our first metropolitan city, Ir hamamlacha yesodit shel David HaMelech, Yisrael achai v'kayam. Where are the machers, and where are they with our first official city of monarchy, which is where David HaMelech reigned for 7 years? Where are they? האם אין הזיכרונות הגדולים והקדושים הללו מספיקים לעורר אותנו משנותינו הליטורגית? He's saying, aren't the memories, the holy, the grandeur, the grand memories of the fact that David Malka Meshicha was a king over here? Rav Kook saying, isn't that enough to wake us up from our shluf? Beyachas leha'ir ha'kedosha hazot, in regards to how we feel about Chevron. Chevron she'en dome la be'erkei ha'historיים והרוחניים acharei Yerushalayim. He says, and after and aside from Yerushalayim, there's no other place in the world that's like it, with its historical and spiritual values. And this is not said in 1996. This is not said in 1985, 1967. This is already, it's like something with Chevron we see, that from the time that we came back to Eretz Yisrael years ago, we're already, there's this like, I don't know, we want to call it this blinding, but for some reason, there was always a neglect. There was always a neglect. It's very bizarre. It's very, very bizarre. If we were in Shir sitting live right now, I'd ask each of you why you think that is, but I've tried that on Zoom already a number of times to go back and forth. It doesn't flow so smooth, but let's like wonder, what is this? Look at Rav Kook's words about Chevron here are so painful. Next paragraph. כאבי נעקר בראותי שם, כי לא די שלא שמנו אל לב כלל, לבצר לנו עמדה בעיר החמדה הזאת. My pain is so deep, Rav Kook says, that we haven't even paid attention to really take a stand in this beautiful, loving city of ours. ביפה הנוף שלה, its beautiful cast, its beauty and its views, and ve'avira hatzach, its fresh air, hara'anan behabari, its healthy air, bamakom asher shetef chayei neshamot, holech umitgale aleinu behodo ubehadro, in a place, he calls it shetef chayei neshamot, the flow of the lives of souls becomes revealed to us in its glory and its master. אלא גם את היישוב שהיה לנו בה הזנחנו. He's saying, not only have we neglected all of the historical context, but even the actual Yeshuv Yehudi that was before World War I, right, which we said that Yeshuv was more or less demolished after World War I. He's saying we completely neglected it. והיננו גם עתה מזניחים אותו להיחרב וליפול למשואות. But here we're seeing we're letting it go to be destroyed. חרפה שברה ליבי. A חרפה, an embarrassment, a busha, has broken my heart, Rav Kook says, where I see that Chevron has not really taken, it's not catching the front lines. And he continues. This is the rest of this of these words that he said on the next page. That's the next document that I sent you, Shimon. האם לא כדאי להקדיש תשומת לב מיוחדת? Shouldn't we pay extra attention? שמהקניות הכלליות של הקרקעות שאנו עסוקים בהם, that from all the general acquiring of lands that we're busy with, ברכישות הפזורות והרחוקות, with all these, they're trying to chop pieces of land here and there, wherever we can get our hands on, Rav Kook is saying. But he's saying, kulam omnam kulan chavivot, every piece of land is very lovable and likable. But don't you think יתייחד מקום חשוב לקניית חבלי האדמה הנמצאים למכביר בחברון ובנותיה? Wouldn't you think that as a people we would take Chevron and make it our prime real estate objective? Why isn't that? Why isn't that? And then he continues and he says, "V'hamosdot shelanu mikol hasugim shekulam harei hem chelkei binyan." All our institutions, מדוע לא השתדלו לקבע יתד וגדר בעיר הקודש המצוינת? Why didn't all the official institutions attempt to לקבוע יתד, to like make a foundation in the עיר הקודש of Chevron? היות וחשיבות גדולה יש ליישובנו בעיר תהילה זו, because we have such importance for our act, our energy of dwelling in this land, in this piece of land, in this city of praise. V'akarov el libi beyoter, and the closest to my heart, Rav Kook says, hakadosh lanu, that which is holy to us, yeshivotenu hagdoshot, our holy yeshivas. Now, this is before the Slobodka Yeshiva moved to Chevron. But he's going to reference here what he's speaking about. He's talking about all the yeshivas that exist. Harimu na gamatem truma la'Hashem liyeshuva shel ir kvivrot avotenu. All the yeshivas that are sitting and learning Torah, you're learning words that were first discussed to Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. That's the beginning of the Torah. Well, here Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov are dwelling. This is their resting place. Shouldn't we be sitting and learning Torah here? Lichvodam shel yeshenei machpal, so to the honor of those that are sleeping in Mata Machpelah, she'anu kol kach kshurim bekishrei kodesh shel zchutam ubritam ha'omedet la'ad. We're so connected in a connection of holiness and a covenant that lasts forever. So look what Rav Kook says now. Neyased lanu yeshiva haguna be'ir hakodesh azot. Let's make a holy yeshiva in this holy city. Al yedei shenarim achuzim mikol yeshiva shebe'ir kodshenu v'tifartenu Yerushalayim. We shall, now I wasn't clear here if he meant we shall take a percentage of money that's being distributed to yeshivas in Yerushalayim, or we should take a percentage of talmidim that are in every yeshiva in Yerushalayim. V'nitzad bezeh tzad la'atzalat ha'yishuv hakadosh b'Chevron. And like we always know, Jewish establishment, Jewish settlement always began with first settling a yeshiva and a mikvah. That's how we were always living until now. We need to go back to that. That's the way that Yiddish, Yiddish existence continues. Rav Kook says, let's make this happen. Let's put down a yeshiva here. This is how we will save. This is actually will be the way that will save the Yeshuva Kadosh b'Chevron. And then he goes back to this painful thing that he feels. He feels a lot of. He gets this again. This achrayus. It's tremendous. Hayta yeshiva miyisoda shel Chabad b'Chevron lifnei hamilchama. There was a yeshiva. There was the Lubavitch yeshiva in Chevron before the war. V'nitbatla letzarenu, and like we learned last week, that yeshiva went away after World War I. During World War I. Chova kdosha hi ledaati. I find it to be a holy obligation. Al kol achenu hakshurim lechabad. It should be a responsibility and an obligation on all our brothers and sisters who are connected to Lubavitch leachzir atara leyoshna belisad ka'et michadash et hamosad sheneheras. It's time to rebuild the yeshiva that was destroyed, the Lubavitch yeshiva that was destroyed. Aval yachad im zot, but together with that, chovatenu hagdola hi liyased bechevron yeshiva gdola ma'yesod ha'atik haragil. But he's saying, I'm not just referring to rebuilding the Lubavitch yeshiva. I think Rav Kook saying we have to establish here a much bigger yeshiva, an all-encompassing yeshiva that's more taking into account all of our Talmudic history, all of the yeshivish history, something much bigger, something much more inclusive. Achenu ha'askanim, all the machers, miyazdei mosdot chesed b'chemel, You guys are all doing amazing work. You're doing all these different mosdos. You're opening up all these different institutions that are full of chesed. It's all cute. It's all beautiful. But Rav Kook says, "Madua lo nishtadel shi'eh lanu bechevron bet cholim achaser sham me'od." Why shouldn't we have a hospital in Chevron? Moshav Skenim, it should be an old age home. Ubet Yetomim beKe'ele, an orphanage and things like this. Shekulam yecholim lihivased betor snifim lamosdot alalu sheyesh lanu be'ir kodshenu hareshit Yerushalayim tibane v'tikonen. Rav Kook is saying, we've already established all these things in Yerushalayim. We have orphanages, we have hospitals, we have old age homes. Why not open up a branch in Chevron? Why not? It already exists in Yerushalayim. Let's now go down to Chevron and do it there. So bottom paragraph. Hapratim rabim hem. These are a lot of details. Be'ekaveh sheyimtza'u rabim. I hope this finds many people. שיעידו עליהם בזמן שהמחשבה הקדושה של בניין החברון תצטרף למעשה. I hope that at a time when the holy thoughts of rebuilding Chevron should not just remain in the realm of thought, but it should go into action. Ach al haklal, achai. Those, he's saying, those, what I just said right now, those that can actually, the people that make things work, the shakers and makers. I know you're thinking about Chevron here and there, but it's time to like tachlis. Put your money where, where your mouth is and think, and put your money where your mind is, put your actions where your heart is. Yalla, let's get to it. Ach ala klal, but klal Yisrael right now, achai. Al klalut ha'argasha shel simat lev legorara shel ir ha'avot. This general feeling regarding the destiny of ir ha'avot, shehi tzricha liyot kechotam al libeinu tamid. It needs to be like a stamp on our hearts forever. Bayamim hagdolim shel hitorerut chiyateinu al admat hakodesh. On these tremendous days where there's a re-enlivenment of the soul of our people, an awakening of the soul of Am Yisrael on Holy Land, Rav Kook is saying, please, you don't. It's wondrous to him how Chevron cannot be on the top of the list of whatever was taking place back then in the 1920s when it came to people, when it came to the vision of why we came back to Eretz Yisrael and how we're coming back to Eretz Yisrael. And he ends off here and he says, Higia sha'a she'ir kivrot avotenu tibaneh. It's time, the time has come that the city where our Abbas and Imas are buried shall be rebuilt. Hakatan, Avram Yitzchak HaKohen Kook. This is Rav Kook's words. So, like I see, my friend Tuvia Meir wrote here in the text, Yerushalayim does dominate our consciousness. And it's really just a lack of being educated regarding the importance of Chevron. I think that anyone that ever tapped into Chevron knows that it's a different energy there. There's something completely different going on there at an energy level. But I think that just like Rav Kook is writing to us in the early 20s, that when we have this concept aliyah, when we have this concept of coming back to Eretz Yisrael, rebuilding the Holy Land, it just doesn't make sense if Chevron is not mamash after Yerushalayim, right there in your thoughts. I get the chills sharing these words 100 years after these words were written. As I have the privilege of living right between Yerushalayim and Chevron. And I guess like I want to feel like myself being pulled, actually if I sit like this way, it looks like this. Pulled this way to Yerushalayim, to my right, pulled this way to the left to Chevron. That would be the ultimate if I could keep on, connecting myself to these two places. But even me, who lives 15 minutes from Chevron, how often am I in Chevron? Not enough. I go, but not enough. So I just hope and pray that if the Rav Nazir walked from Yerushalayim to Chevron to visit his Rav, to be with him, so those of us that have the opportunity to drive to Chevron, yeah, it's not the funnest drive, but then we take more of an advantage of the beautiful privilege that you and I can go daven by Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, and Leah, whenever we want. Basically, whenever we want. So next week, Be'ezrat Hashem, we will be discovering a beautiful, beautiful relationship that Rav Kook has with Yeshivat Chevron, formerly Slobodka, and then, unfortunately, delving into the painful Praot Tarpat, the massacre of 1929, and Rav Kook's involvement in post-Chevron Yeshuv settlement dwelling after the massacre. All right, Chavra, have a beautiful rest of the day. We have a shir tonight. We have our 8:30 Parsha shir on Zoom as well. Thanks for being with us. Kol Tov.